man. As you see, I'm like 2 minutes late. I was rushing, trying to get everything ready, make all my slides. Then I couldn't figure out which order to put the slides in. I hope I got it right. If not, I guess we'll find out when when I start trying to show them. Hold on, I forgot to turn on one of these lights. Right. See, that's what I get for rushing. This is usually like an hour earlier than I usually come on. I usually do 4. So, whew, I got to get my stuff together. Hi, everybody. Today we're going to do the long awaited show called Vetting. And what is vetting? Vetting means when it's like, I don't like, who the first person I heard use this term was Tom Joyner on the Tom Joyner show. They were talking about vetting. I'm like, what the hell is that? But evidently, it really is a word. And basically, when we use it, what we're talking about is assessing, qualifying, determining the value of, and the rightness for someone in a romantic relationship. And just this week, I had a lot of examples of women who did not properly vet guys and who weren't even talking about vetting guys. They was talking about how much money he spent on them, their self-esteem based on how much money he spent on them, going back again and again and again to a man who has already proven himself to be a knucklehead, a homosexual, an unemployed, half-employed, lazy bum. These baby daddy types. Man's got a history of running around making babies and dropping babies everywhere without really dealing with them too much. And yet here you are putting yourself in a position to be baby mama number 2, 3, 4, 18. All kinds of stuff came as perfect examples of how women did not properly go through this process. Then I thought about it. It's like, I can't really blame like the really young ones, in their early 20s. I mean, they grew up with no daddy. Sometimes the mothers, was kind of out there. I mean, people be on drugs and just really tripping. And sometimes the mothers are pick me types. And so it's like a series of dudes in and out the house. The girl doesn't really bond with her mother well. So there's not a lot of this type of information being shared with young women. So, I thought about it. It's like, oh my God, this is just really, like hot mess, exactly. That we're experiencing, especially in the African American community where things are so fractured. And, we don't have, like, even if you have a grandmother, I mean, she might be one of them hot to trot mamas herself out in the club. People have a grandmother that's 40 these days. So there's just a lot to think about, a lot going on. And I thought, wait, I have to laugh. You saw those lips. I'm trying to tell you, girl, is once you know what to look for, you're going to see them on a lot of people. It's going to be quite common. So, as you listen to this video, feel free to make your comments in the chat. If you wish to send me an advice question, because the next show is Tell It Tuesday, and that's when I go over advice questions that have been submitted, usually the prior week. If you have an advice question that you would like answered on the air, now I don't mention names and all of that, but if we do talk about the stuff on the air, then you send your question in right on the top of the YouTube channel. There's a button that says get advice. Just click that. It will take you to this form. Also, in each and every show description page, there is a link to this same form. So one of those two places on YouTube, you will find the information you need to be able to submit your advice question for the show. So, excuse me. Let me get some of this first. Sometimes the lips don't even be pursed. They just be too full. I don't even know how to. They just be full in the middle. But anyway, I talked about that on the show about bisexual men. If you want a further description, I do believe I went into probably too much detail about what to look for, and you can see it there. Let me change this light. It's too cool. I want something warmer. My little lamp is really nice here. Okay, there we go. That looks better. All right, let me pull up where are my slides. Um, I want to talk about this. Okay, so hold on, because I'm things didn't really work too well. I don't know what I. If any of these are out of order, just be patient. All right, this is the first one. This is what we're going to be talking about dating. There are three basic phases of dating. Your relationship might go up in smoke at any of these phases. Many of them should go up in smoke after the first phase, but for some reason, women do not properly assess the negative behaviors of the man that they are dealing with. And so they end up going mistakenly into number two and number three. Sometimes by the time they hit number two, they're already pregnant. Y'all be really fucking up. So that's why I wanted to do this show. All right. So, what is infatuation? Infatuation is the phase where you meet somebody, you feel this amazing chemistry and heat, and you imagine based on the few things that you do know about this guy, usually some game he done spit or some way he looks and he makes you get a tingle in your nether regions. And so you become infatuated with him. He's perfect in your eyes. He can't do no wrong. Everything that he says, you believe it. You can't get enough of dude. You just grinning all over yourself when you people mention his name or you telling people about him. And this is the phase in the early dating phase where a lot of people mess up because you're supposed to be staying focused. You're supposed to be looking at what is this dude about? Who is he? What kind of man is this? But you don't really think about that too much. So the next thing you know, you're into the deep dating phase. Okay, that's number two. That's discovery. During this page phase, what you are supposed to be doing is finding out even more about him because it's like you got to take your time. You can't just like rush through this. A lot of people don't like this part. They want to skip over it and just right to the commitment. And so you got a dude who might be into it as well. It's telling you, are you gonna be my woman and stuff after you already went out 2 or 3 times? And it's like you don't know anything about him yet. I mean, some might know some very rudimentary basic shit, but you really don't have a good handle on what this guy's about, his history, his who he is as a man, all that kind of stuff. You don't know any of that yet because you haven't spent enough time with him. Okay, and then we move to phase three, which is the commitment part, which most people call the quote relationship. We're dating. We're, trying to build something. We're just seeing each other. Because during phase one and two, either or both of you may be seeing multiple people. Okay, but by the time you reach level three, you decided that you're going to be just with each other. You're going to see how far this goes, and then the third layer of uncovering who and what this man is, how you fit, and where you don't, and all this kind of stuff. What you're going to do with each other and where this is going are all part of point number three. So I just want to give you that little overview as we move into the rest of the presentation. It crashed. Uh-oh. I don't know what to do about that. Hopefully, if you guys reload, it will be on. Otherwise, go to Twitch. Go into Twitch. I can see chats from Twitch and YouTube on my computer. So if you're having problems with YouTube chat and it doesn't come up, just go to Twitch. All right, so now we move into the what I call the resume review process. Now, in my mind, this vetting process is very much like a job interview, a hiring process, because these got people applying for the job of being your man, right? So he gonna come with his resume, his CV, and talking about what he can do for you, who he is, and why you should choose him for this job. Correct? That's just what happens in a job situation. So these are the steps that you're going to be going through. Now, if you don't normally do these things, I want you to start because I went through a lot of trouble to put these slides together, and I want you guys to really understand what I'm talking about here. All right. Now let's talk about step one. This is like for applicants, which I'm saying this is. You'll hear me referring to like jobs and switching back and forth because to me, like I said, it's the same process. They potential employers vet the applicants. That's what your ass need to be doing too. And not just being all happy just because somebody paid you some attention. You're gonna try to make a relationship with it just because some dude tried to talk to you. Fuck them. Who is this motherfucker? You need to be thinking about that. Okay. So we're gonna go in the step one part, the pre-screening phase, where people send in their applications that expresses interest. They hit you up on a personal thing. They try to get somebody to hook them up with you, or you meet them out somewhere and they express an interest by giving your number or requesting yours. Okay, so that's the pre-screening phase. Now, what you're supposed to be doing is through questions and observations, you're going to figure out what their prior experience is, their education, how stable they are. And I'm not talking about financially, mentally, and emotionally as well. Are they the right age? Are they the right ethnicity? Do they look a certain way that you find attractive? What skills do they have that or make them a better applicant than someone else? Okay. Now, you're supposed to be comparing what they offer on paper to what your list of needs and wants are for the basic minimum qualifications. That's what MQ stands for, minimum qualifications. So, see, those of you who say, well, I want a man who doesn't have any children, and yet here you are with a man that's got three. Well, he didn't meet your MQ, so what are you doing? You want a man who's employed, who's got a car, who's got his own place. Then you find out this motherfucker living in his grandmother's basement, ain't paying no rent, and doesn't have a car. He got some raggedy ass bucket like a 16-year-old boy would have, and he's 30. Okay, how does that meet your MQs? What are you doing? So this is what I'm saying. Sometimes what you want to do in a situation like this, like say you meet the person online or it's a blind date hookup, you want to have a phone interview. Employers do that a lot. They're kind of on the fence about whether you meet their minimum qualifications, or maybe there's some questions that really weren't addressed by your paper presentation, your CV. They want to talk to you more about it and dig deeper, ask a little bit more probing questions. So if they pass all of these initial screenings, then you invite them in for an actual face-to-face interview or meet and greet and or first date. Okay. Now this is the point at which you need to be very careful about the powerful pull of pick-me-ism, loneliness, and your emotional neediness. I put that caveat there because I find that these are the 3 points of contention that greatly influence women and cause them the most problems. You want to be a pick me, so you try to change who and what you are to fit his needs instead of you focusing on your own, or you so lonely and tired of being single or afraid of being single that you settle for the first thing that comes along, or you're so emotionally needy and so devoid of self-esteem and self-confidence that you also take anything that comes along. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Oh, I just put this up there. Just like, this might be a letter that you might send to someone who you're not sure about. And, if a better applicant comes along, you would take that better applicant, right? So, the guy, he might have been okay. You would have, you might talk to him on the phone and you say, well, he's all right. But it's nothing so exciting that you want to drop everything and rush to meet him, right? You're not doing that. So, what's going on here? I gotta fix my chat. Something's going on with this thing here. I see this big old blank space. I guess YouTube really is screwing up, huh? Hmm. It never freaking fails. YouTube, you need to get their act together. So anyway, let me move on to the next slide. Now, in phase two or step two, we move into the face to face interview. Okay, so you've reviewed the CVs, you reviewed the resumes, you maybe had reached out to this individual and had a phone screening, right? Which is a phone call where you ask a few more questions, try to get to know who this person is before you get dressed, get your nails done, did your hair done, all that stuff, and meet them out for a face to face date. So this is where you want to get together because there's a lot of communication. Yeah, I see. You know, doesn't YouTube always act stupid when I'm doing my show? This is like the fifth time. Um, but I can tell everybody if YouTube is down, just go on over to Twitch, twitch.tv/Depsterism, same as it is on YouTube, and you can continue participating. Um, oh, Tiana came through. Yeah, I mean, seriously, everybody, this is like the fifth or sixth time that this has happened when I'm doing my live stream. It's like I'm thinking I'm starting to take it personally. Oh, they did? Yeah, I'm thinking I'm liking Twitch better and better. Okay, well, no, it looks like YouTube is back up, but get your all shit together, YouTube. Okay, so we're on step two now. So you want to look at this person, you want to lay eyes on him because a lot of communication takes place non-verbally. Okay, because you talking on the phone to somebody, you can't see their expression, you can't see their body language. You want to be face to face with this man so you can read his eyes, read his facial expressions. Here, you get to put more, like, how does this tone match his expression? There's different ways to try to understand how someone's communicating and what exactly they're saying to you, right? So you also want to look at, is he dressed appropriately or is he dressed like a bum? He got some old 1976 Superfly look that you do not want to be seen in public with somebody looking like that. How does he conduct himself? What are his, you say you're going out to eat or something. What's his table manners like? Are you grossed out and disgusted? Do you understand everything that he's saying to you? Are you capable of saying, oh, I didn't catch that? What? Because he's like, oh, yeah, girl, because, blah, 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 blah. And you looking at him like, I know he's talking. I see his lips moving, but I don't know what he's talking about. I can't hear him. So, you want to check that too. If you say something that's funny, does he get it? What's his intellect like? Is he talking about himself all the time? Does he respond openly and quickly to your questions, or does he give you evasive answers? These are all things that you need to be looking at when you were in his presence. And a lot of women, you don't pay any attention to any of that kind of stuff. I don't know what y'all be thinking about. And it's like you can see the dude is just tripping and playing, running games and stuff and acting stupid, and you try to ignore it. And that's why I brought out in the previous slide that you have to pay attention to yourself and what's motivating you to overlook these things. Are you suffering from pick meism? Are you desperate? Are you so lonely and afraid of being single that you just want a man, any man don't matter, because you just live in horror of being single because you think people are going to tease you and mock you? Hey, Van, that's fine. Whatever. Whatever, I I don't know what's going on with YouTube. And then you want to determine, does he, as he presents himself, fit into your life? In a corporation, it's called the corporate culture. For you, it's just called your life. How does he fit in with what you got going on and how you live? Does he, perfectly match like puzzle pieces, just interlocking perfectly? Or is there some, really difficult, challenging situations and behavior that he has? Yeah, they thinking about how cute he is and if he can fuck. That's what y'all be thinking about. And how much money he got. Those are stupid things to think about. A, because money disappears overnight. Man, let me tell you about my forays into the stock market and how my ass got smacked. And so, you might have a lot of money today and then tomorrow your ass is like, don't. Let me just put it that way. And then how he looks. I mean, what if he gets in a car accident, his face gets disfigured, his body, he end up in a wheelchair or something? Well, then what? I mean, when you love somebody, you got to love more than what they look like and more than what they have. Because if that's all your quote love is based on, soon as that goes away, then what you gonna do? What's he gonna do? That's just kind of fucked up. So, here, what you need to be aware of is the powerful pull of chemistry. Because sometimes talking on the phone or whatever, you don't get that. But once you lay eyes on a man, you get all excited. You can't breathe. Dude is so fine to you. You just can't wait to see how he rocks it. When he touches you, you feel electricity just jolts your whole body. I met a dude like that, and I ran from his ass because I already knew that was going to be a bad scene. Let's see. Yeah, I've met three men in my life that had that effect on me. One I messed with. That's how come I know I wouldn't do that again. And then the other two I just left alone. I wasn't going to put myself in that trick bag. Well, that's part of it too, Van, but that's coming up. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then we moving on. So, he submitted his application, you reviewed his application, you interviewed him. Now what? So now we're at mark point three. This is what I call the probationary period. If you're on a job, you all know what I'm talking about. Some jobs have a 90-day, some have a 6 month, some have a year probation. And for really professional positions like doctors, district attorneys, whatever appointments and stuff, they may have a 2 year probationary period. And so you have to know what the probationary period is in your mind. You do not necessarily communicate it to the applicant because this isn't really a job thing. I'm just using that as a point of reference. So look at this slide, and here you go. So now you're actively dating, right? Now, this does not mean that you are a couple. It just means that you're spending time together on a regular basis. It could be once a week, very casual dating, or it could be twice a week, a little bit more serious. All right, so here you are, you're going out with this dude. At this point, usually by this point, people have decided that so somewhere in this point, rather, let's put it that way, they decide that they're going to just be, just the two of them in a situation. That's usually not the case necessarily just going in, but somewhere in that 90 days the decision is usually made that you're going to be a couple and that you're just going to see each other. If you get to the end of the 90 days and that has not happened, there's more that you need to do, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a few minutes. So now, the guy, he's made it through your initial screening, and now the time to observe the applicant in their day to day behavior. How do they handle new tasks? Do they adhere to established policies? Those are your rules for being in a relationship with you. Are they able to learn new programs, new ways of accessing data, new behavior patterns? Because maybe he's used to women doing certain stuff, or doing behaving a certain way with women, and you ain't having all of that. Well, how does easily does he adapt to that change, or does he just continue in his old patterns? You need to see his performance, and I'm not just talking about in bed. I mean out of it too. What kind of quality does he put into the tasks and the work that he does in your relationship? Is he committed to doing and being his best? Is he developing interest in you? Is it staying the same, or is it falling off? Is his social behavior cool so you can bring him around people, your job, your friends, your family? What flaws does he have? What baggage are you dealing with? All of that has to be considered in this 90-day period. Now, what most of y'all be doing, worrying about how the fucking is doing, and if he's cheating with some other woman, and how much money he's spending on you on dates so you can feel validated or some shit. I don't know what y'all be doing. And you get distracted by bullshit instead of focusing on what kind of man this is. How well do you fit with him? How much compromising is required of you with what you had on your list of MQs at the beginning of meeting him? You know, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. So you're supposed to be realistically assessing his how well he meets all those standards at that 90-day mark. And I always talk about this. It's called it the 90-day bomb. If you've been following me for any time, you should have heard me talk about the 90-day bomb, because that's the point at which both parties kind of naturally step back and reassess the relationship. It's like it happens like clockwork. People don't even have to think about it. It's just something about 90 days. And so either you two know that this is right and you move forward and everybody's thrilled, or people start backpedaling because there's things that bother them and they're not sure if they want to deal with them. Okay? Um, that's what you need to talk about. That's what you need to think about. And what most women do is they get stuck on the fact, well, I don't think it's really working, but I don't know how to end things without hurting him, or what's the easiest way to do it without hurting him. I'm telling you right now, you don't worry about hurting him, and you don't be like vicious. But no, you don't have to wait 90 days. But you should know. I mean, if you're still dealing with them at 90 days, you still need to do this assessment. A lot of relationships blow up in stage 1 or 2. I said that at the top of the show. You don't make it to 90 days, and that's fine. But if you do make it to 90 days, this is the time for you to, step back and assess what's going on. And if you focus more about not hurting him, then you got a problem. Well, what I said, snooty here, is you can look at that on the slide. Sometimes, you feel like you don't really know enough about him yet, so you extend the probation. There's nothing wrong with that. The probationary period is extended 1 month, 2 months, another 90 days. I mean, whatever works for you. Um, some of them, you decide this ain't right. I'm getting rid of this motherfucker. You either did it at the 30-day mark, the 60-day mark, or somewhere in between. You don't make it to 90 days. But Biden, if he makes it to 90 days, please take the time to do this assessment with a pencil and a piece of paper if you have to. I prefer that to a computer. So, so you have time to creatively think and you write things down. There's something about connecting the human motor system to the brain when you use a pencil and a paper. Things are clearer for most people. All right. All right. Now, let's talk about the kinds of things that you should be asking. Does What kind of music you like? What's your favorite color? You know, what's your favorite movies? I mean, those things are cute, and if you're really young, I suppose that's uh all right. But you need to be asking different questions, probing questions. You're looking for a husband, right? Or a long-term relationship. You're looking for something deeper than a somebody to run the streets with. Um, yeah, well, that 90 days, yeah, I don't know about all that. So you want to ask questions that allow you to discover who he is as a man and who he is as a person. Okay, this is key. You want to ask questions that encourage open ended responses, not yes or no. Okay, you want like an essay type question, or a paragraph or something. You want some words that explain, that tell a story, that give examples, that give historical references to high school or in one college or when I was in middle school or last year. I mean, you want some, references to points to it. You want them to be able to name names of people that this story happened with or that were involved in his life at this particular phase of it. You want to know about the past experiences that he's had, what he's learned from them, what he knows and came to do about it. Any new discoveries he made about himself or the world or his family or whatever. And then you basically are asking all these things because what you want is to know how this motherfucker thinks. How does he think? What does he think about? This is what you guys are ignoring for the most part. You worried about bullshit. And I'm telling you, you got to know how a man thinks, and you got to ask the right kind of questions because he might be a violent knucklehead. He might be a useless piece of shit. He might be hiding things. He might be a liar. He may be married. He may be all kind of things. Hate women on the under. I mean, just want to use you for. You got to ask the right questions, and you have to understand the answers that you're being given. Okay, you got to understand this. Oops, I see this one's out of order. This was supposed to be later. Okay, well, those were the examples I was talking about. But basically, it's fine here, I guess. I want you guys to think about this because I was talking about women who, they've been dating a dude for 2 or 3 months and they living together. 2 or 3 months, she pregnant by him. I mean, what? What? Where is that coming from? What are you doing that? What is that about? Use some damn birth control and have safe sex. So you shouldn't be bonding yourself that deep to somebody who's basically a stranger to you. You all caught up in the infatuation phase and you thinking about stuff wrong. You got to understand that every relationship is going to reach a crossroad. Now, some people hold hands and they survive the crossroad together, right? But most relationships don't. When they hit a real big, hit a big stumbling block, everybody goes they're in their own direction, and you really have to spend time in those early days instead of just zipping around doing a whole bunch of activity, dating. You don't want to be bored, so y'all doing all this shit together and stuff, but you're not really talking to each other about anything meaningful. You're just busy. Okay, that's a lot of dating. It's busyness. And so you don't really understand who this person is that you're dealing with. And so you've got to do that though so you can make an fully informed decision about whether you should be with him or not. Okay, you got to do that. It's hard work, I know, and a lot of people don't want to, but you must. Otherwise, you're going to suffer the repercussions of that decision. Okay, so you need to take it slow, right? You got to take it slow, and you have to make decisions that are based on the level of intimacy that you've attained with this guy. You can't rush through this process. Learning somebody takes time, and you have to remember that if you want your relationship to grow, over a long period of time, that each one of you has to be in a position where you choose the other one over and over. I don't know a better way to put it because it's like even in a marriage you wake up sometimes, I'm telling you, you just want to just cut his throat, you want to stab him, you want to push him out a window, you want him to just die or go to his mama's house and do that. Whatever it is, you want him out of your way, out of your space. You need some breathing room. You can't stand his ass right now, but it's a phase because you deeply love this man and you really love him and you really know him better than he knows himself sometimes. Few women, it's like the kind of thing where you think about that and you get over the mad and you realize that the relationship brings more good than it does bad, and you continue to choose this man over and over and over again, and the same with him. That's what makes a long-term relationship successful. People think, well, we don't ever argue and we don't ever this and that. That's kind of unrealistic. I don't know how people do that, but whatever. Okay, so then just take a link once you get done here. Take a moment to share a link to this video, and let every woman that you know learn from this. Okay, and I see some of my slides did not make it to the video to the damn it. I'm gonna have to figure out what I did with them because it had some questions that I need. We might have to have an intermission while I fix this because this is not really working for me. I need my other slides. Hold on, you guys. I'm so pissed right now. Remind me to never do a show at 3 o'clock again. That's just too early for me. I can't get my shit together this early. I'm all kinds of discombobulated. In case you didn't notice, I'm kind of a what you call them, a night owl person, and during the early part of the day, I'm kind of like, what? Where am I? Who am I? What's going on here? I'm looking for my slides that I want to add. Okay. This one. This one. Shit. All right. I see what I did. This is terrible. Okay. I have a slide, but I'm just not going to be able to put it up. I'm just going to read it. Christian, wow. Christian just super chatted what they call it? A big bill. Girl, thank you. Woo! I guess she want to keep my ass supplied with wine. A lot of you were affected by the yesterday, but other day by me saying I had a headache. Everybody was like sending me condolences because I never get a headache, but I did get one that day. I don't know what happened. Okay, these are some guidelines that I have for dating um, that I had wanted to put up on the screen, but I'll just tell them to you. Um, the number one rule is four Deb isms. When you start dating somebody, you need to listen twice as much as you talk. I've mentioned this before that my grandfather used to tell us that you got two ears and one mouth. You're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. In a dating situation, this is key for women because you want that man to talk to you and tell you about himself. You got to make the environment conducive for him to lay out his full narcissism, which is talking about himself. So, you've got to understand that the best communication occurs when there's an even back and forth exchange. So, with him talking just a little bit more, but I mean, you don't just sit there and let him ramble on. You have to, put some add to the conversation and tell him something about yourself as well. So it's like a tennis game. You know how they bat and then this one bats and this. Okay, it's the same kind of principle where he says something, you say something, he says something, but what you want him to do is, his something to be a little bit longer than yours. But I want you to keep your mouth shut. You don't need to be walking and talking about yourself the whole time. You're trying to figure out how this man works for you. Okay, so that's point one. Point two is if you ever seen a piece of onion skin, you know how thin that is? That's kind of how you want to handle a relationship. You want to peel back the onion, each layer at a time, till you get to the full thing. It may take, a long time, a few years. Really, sometimes you be married to a motherfucker and it'd be 20 years later and you still peeling that onion because he keeps surprising you with stuff and you keep like, well, I never knew that about you. And that's how it is. But you got to feel good about the part that you do know, okay? You don't want to be like a Connie Chung, Barbara Walters type of person where you firing questions at somebody, rapid fire style like you a police officer or something. But what you want to do is do the onion peel thing. You don't want to ask overly personal or intrusive questions like how much money you make, have you been tested yet? I mean, what are you doing? You're not at that phase with dude yet where that's even a possibility. You just met him. So you don't do things like that. It should that be something that you two are discussing, then you bring up the testing feature. You don't do that on the first date or two. Okay, because you shouldn't even be thinking about sleeping with him yet, because your ass don't know who he is or what he's about yet. That's how you be saying, well, I didn't know he was married. Well, did you ever ask, was he married? Did you ever ask who he's living with? Do you ever ask what his situation is? No. And then you be want to act like you a victim because he, finally springs it on you that he's married or living with somebody. Point number three, don't spill your guts. Okay, maintain an air of mystery about yourself, ladies. I mean, let the guy be curious about you. Let him wonder. Let him be intrigued and fascinated and curious. Y'all just go in there and just tell every damn thing. To even talk about your menstrual cramps and how hard your labor was and all kind of stuff that's unnecessary in the getting to know somebody process. You talking about your mental illness and the drugs your Zoloft or whatever, and your Prozac and all this old stuff that you be taking, and I mean just all kind of stuff that you really don't need to be talking about. You're trying to get to know him. There's plenty of time for all of those kind of things to come out. You need to respect his boundaries as well as your own and the people involved in your life, like your kids. And number four, understand that vetting is, as I've been demonstrating, very much like a job interview. You want to screen them. You want to know that he has a proper experience, that he has the right ethics, morals, that he's a loyal type, that he has a creative approach to problem solving, that he's dedicated to excellence, and that he fits with you. Okay? All of those things are very important. All right. Let me see here. How do I get out of this page? All right. And then I have one more. Hold on. Let me find that one. 3 days is too long. Too long for what? Okay. In this slide, I wanted to talk about the first the top nine rather mistakes that women make in the probationary period. Now, after I do all of this, I'm going to be providing you guys with some examples of probing questions to ask men in the various, in these first three phases of dating, which is, the infatuation phase, the discovery phase, and the commitment phase. If you just came into here and you missed all that, be sure to catch the replay of the video so that you can get up on what those points mean and my explanation of them. Okay, so women typically make 9 key mistakes. There's probably more than that, but this is all I could think about rather in such short notice. Number one, they ignore the red flags. There's an incompatibility problems or problems with this guy. Now, why do you avoid those things? Because you infatuated, your coochie is tingling, you just want to, be around him. You get excited and breathless and shit when you be around him. It's sexual attraction and you're not thinking about nothing else. Or you're lonely or you just desperate and to have a man, any man will do. Okay. There's a lot of women at that. We call that pick-me-ism. Point number two, you make excuses to justify his negative behavior or problematic behavior due to chemistry or loneliness or desperation. So you kind of blow it off. You see direct conflict with what you say you want right in your face, but you just, that's not important. That's, I just deal with that later. He's not, I can make him change. You have all kind of excuses. He didn't mean it. I was tripping. I shouldn't have had that on my list anyway. All kind of stuff like that you say, but what you're really doing is you're dishonoring yourself because you know what's going to make you happy long term, and suddenly you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about you just want to get with this dude. That's a mistake. It's whether you deal with it now or deal with it later. It's going to come to bite you in the ass at some point. All right, so then number three, you blindly and without question believe everything he says about his fault or problems with his exes. You come to his defense. Now, don't you understand how much men lie about their involvement and shit? He'll be like, yeah, she got mad and she went crazy. That's their favorite word to describe the ex. She crazy. She crazy. Do you know that? It's like a catch-all umbrella for any woman who stands up for herself, who kicks his butt out, who won't take his mess anymore. Suddenly she's crazy because she started throwing things through his stuff out or hit him. And what you have to understand is she may have done those things. I'm not saying she didn't, but I'm saying that she had a reason, and that's what you need to keep focused on. Why did she flip after years and years? She wasn't like that before, but that's what he says happened and why he left. Okay, what did he do before that made her respond that way? But you don't even think about any of that. You just think, yeah, that bitch crazy. He said she crazy because she threw his shit out. I don't know what she threw his shit out for. That was just wrong. She should have done that. And you just all on his team with no concern about what he did or what he said or how he treated that woman that finally flipped her switch and made her go to that side, into that behavior. You have to think, ladies, ain't none of us just walking around acting like that with a man that we love. Come on now. I shouldn't even have to explain this. Point number four, you accept disrespect. You are more focused on the relationship or his money than who he is as a man. Now, let me give you an example of that. You got a date, right? The motherfucker's supposed to be at your house at, I don't know, 6 o'clock. He ain't there at 6:10, 6:15, 6:37. 7:15, he finally comes rolling up like what? Now, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to have turned off your lights, turn off your phone, and not answer the door. That's what you're supposed to do. He didn't call to say anything. He just showed up an hour and 15 minutes late with, just like, well, what the fuck, bitch? What? Come on out the house. And you, like an idiot, go. Okay, what you have done just now is showing him that you, A, don't have any respect for yourself, B, don't have any respect for your time, and C, allowed him to not have any respect for either of those things as well. And D, he still gets the benefits of your time, your company, your kisses, your hugs, whatever else y'all gonna do. And he still gets the benefits even though he openly disrespected you at the outset. Why do you do that? And then you wonder why more and more disrespect comes. Well, you got to lay the groundwork on have your boundaries set hard in stone when you deal with men. And y'all just don't do it. You just don't do it. It's so disappointing. And then the problems come, because you're now teaching him that you will accept anything, that you're more focused on having him in your life than you are on having him respect and treat you with, the way that he's supposed to. Dudes are slick like that. They will run them kind of tests on you to see what they can get away with. And you just taught him that he can do pretty much whatever the fuck he wants to, and you're going to still be there. That's what that means. Number 5, you say, well, I'm not going to expect nothing. I'm not going to, accept none of that. And if he does this and that, we're going to be through. Blah, 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 blah. But then he does, I don't know, X, Y, Z, and what happens? You just still in the relationship anyway. You overlook it. You act like nothing happened. You yell and scream and throw shit and stuff, but you right back to doing what you was doing in the first place. He hasn't had any repercussions from mistreating you. You just talked a little shit. He just like tuned you out for a few minutes, and then everything's back to normal. See, that's the kind of stuff you set yourself up to be dogged out like that. You ain't married to this motherfucker. You still in the discovery phase or the commitment phase, where anytime in there before you marry a man and even after, if they get to clowning and disrespecting you, you supposed to check them and get rid of them because he don't know how to act. He doesn't know how to treat you. And he's like, why are you accepting that? Others of you, and the young ones tend to do this really a lot, you assume that because you went out with a dude several times, that he's now your boyfriend, that you now in a committed relationship. I don't know where that shit comes from. I always tell you, if you haven't had the conversation about it and, your actions are matching up with your words, then that's not your man. You need to keep dating other people just like he's messing around with other women. That's why he ain't brought up no commitment, because he's not really trying to be committed to you or to anyone else. So, you trying to, like, these women like, well, I only like to date one man at a time, because, I want to see where this goes. Well, he's still dating other people. So why are you just being loyal to him and faithful to him, and he's not being loyal and faithful to you? What's wrong with you? The relationship is already one-sided and out of balance. That's not how you conduct yourself. And that just because you do that does not mean that you is a hoe. I don't know what gonna be doing. Number 7, you don't ask the right question. You don't get the right information. I will be giving you some examples of questions to ask in a little bit. Others of you have unrealistic expectations, and fantasy thinking goes right along with that. What you do is, because you met him and because he looks good, you think that means that he is good. You want to imagine that you can change him, that it'll be better after you move in together, have a baby, get married, whatever. I mean, you all on some fantasies that don't have nothing to do with nothing. You think if you put it on him really good, he's gonna forget about every other woman and just want to be with you. Your mind is confused. You got an adult male in his 30s or 40s. He done fucked 55 million women by now. I'm sure many of them were better in bed than you. And guess what? He left them too. So, I mean, like, that's not what makes a man want to stay with you. I mean, it's nice. I mean, of course, he's going to enjoy it. And, he wants to have that kind of heat with the woman that he ultimately settles down with. But he likes more than that. You got to connect with a motherfucker in his mind. And you all are not even thinking about that part. And you don't want to waste your time with somebody that you could never connect to. You want to connect to somebody who's on your page, on your wavelength. And then it'll be very easy to get in his head. You'll be all his motherfucking ass thinks about. He'll be in meetings supposed to be paying attention to the presentation. And his mind will be on your face smiling and laughing and how you looked at him when you was on top of him last night. That's what he's going to be thinking about. That's the kind of man. That's when you know it's right. Okay, all this other shit is just irrelevant. All right, now let me find my last slide. I don't know why I wasn't able to find these and put them up in the slideshow. I'm telling you, I need to never rush again, ever, never. Mm, 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 mm. I have one more. Uh, 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 uh. Where are my vetting man slides? Mm, oh, okay. Here we go. Okay. Now we're talking about why it doesn't work. Okay, some things that you should be thinking about, or some of the reasons that I've discovered that the relationships bomb out. Number one is communication. Poor communication will destroy anything. So, you got to look at, how is communication between the two of you? This is the things that you should be thinking about when you hit that 90-day mark, when I'm talking about assessment. And you don't have to wait till 90 days. You can do this at any time, okay? 2 weeks in, a month in, 6 weeks, 2 months. I mean, whenever you feel the need or something you could be doing on an ongoing basis. But all I'm saying is you need to do it, okay? When you do it, that's up to you. But you need to do this, and at the latest, do it at 90 days, okay? So let me put it that way. So you want to talk about, think about the communication between the two of you. Do you understand each other? When he says something, when you say something, does he understand what you say, or is it always some kind of, bad understanding kind of situation? Oh my God, I dated a guy like that. I had to get rid of him. It's like, we were dated, I don't know, just a couple of weeks, but I noticed, and it was, that phase two thing, the, um, you know, assessment type. And I noticed that every time I said something to him, he took it wrong. He went left field, running down the ball field with something, and I'm very clear. I mean, I say exactly what I mean. There's no way need for you to try to interpret it or think about what I might have meant or something like that. I am an extremely excellent communicator, and if I say I don't want that, I don't like that. I'm not going there. This is what I like. This is what I want. I'm going to tell you. All you have to do is listen. Okay. It's very easy to deal with me. So he's like, well, what you mean? Blah, blah, blah. You must have, you thought such and such. And I'm like, when did I say that though? Well, I said blah, 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 blah. So how did you get that from what I said? Well, because you women this and you women that. I was like, okay, this is not going to work. And that's what I told him, this is not going to work. Because trying to talk to you is stressing me the fuck out. You don't understand nothing I say. And you put this little spin on it based on some baggage from some bitches in your past. I don't have shit to do with them. I don't even know who the fuck they are. But you want to be acting like I'm talking to you like they talk to you. And then I mean what I meant, what they meant. And I'm not them. Okay? I'm like, you talking about some dummies, and I have a college degree, so I don't know what you're talking about. But I didn't say all that, but I sure was thinking it. So, we ended up breaking up because communication was that bad. It destroyed we didn't make it to a month, and it was over because it was just like too stressful. So now point number two. The title of this slide is the actual dating relationship and why it bombs. Like I said, do this assessment at 90 days or any time before, or even on an ongoing basis. You should be asking yourself these questions and doing these assessments with your partner. Number two, how do you define a committed relationship? Are you two on the same page? Think about that. Because some dudes, to them, commitment means we engaged. To a woman, commitment could mean that uh, we went on 3 dates. You need to make sure that your ass is on the same page because you thinking you have a boyfriend and that you committed and all this old stuff, and he's like, when did we ever say that? I mean, yeah, I like you and I, want to be with you and stuff, but I never said that I was only gonna be with you. I never said that. Yes, there's an ongoing problem still with YouTube. That's what I'm hearing. I'm like, they always just mess me over. I don't know what's wrong. Why is this happening? Anybody having problems with YouTube, sign up for a Twitch account. I'm over there. It's the same channel name as here on YouTube, Depsterism, and you can listen there and chat there, and I will still see it on the chat here. I'm telling you. Okay, number 3. Um, the fall off. I call it the fall off. Okay, they get comfortable, right? So all the stuff they used to do before when they was trying to, seal the deal, oh, suddenly that shit fall off. He ain't so attentive no more. You call, he give you the short answers. You text him, he used to text back within 5 minutes. Now it's more like 5 hours, 35 minutes, an hour or two, some long time where you just can tell you not a priority like you were. Things start falling off. You don't spend as much time together. Things that he said he liked about you before, now he suddenly got some like snarky remark to make about it. I had a guy like that too. We broke up real quick as well. I don't take that. You're not gonna criticize my ass about shit. I don't give a fuck if you don't. If I'm doing something that you don't like, then leave, then motherfucker. But to sit up there and complain about it and think I'm gonna change, I'm not gonna change. Either you deal with it because this is the way I was when you met me, or you go on down a dusty trail. Whichever one suits you. But I'm telling you, complaining to me about anything that I do or say, I'm doing it because I want to. I'm saying it because I feel like it. And if you don't like it, then just get the fuck out of my life. I mean, it's really simple. I'm not gonna out straight tell people this is me. I'm showing you who I am from the beginning, and you ladies need to have the same attitude about these dudes. He's showing you who he is, and if these guys are like me, they're not gonna change. Either you accept me the way that I am with all my dramas, little perky things that I do, quirky things. I mean, or you just decide that this ain't your cup of tea and you move on. But to sit there and bitch and complain and try to get somebody to change to be the way that you want them to be, that is folly. All you're gonna do is cause a bunch of resentment, and they're gonna keep doing the shit anyway. So if it's something that's really that important to you, I'm not talking about something just a preference. I'm talking about something that you must have that way to feel safe and secure and loved in the relationship. Then you need to just get on and understand that this ain't the man for you. You know. Yeah, that inconsistency and that fall off, girl. The fall off is serious, and that happens a lot. It usually happens when they're either start dealing with drugs or alcohol or gambling or some other bitch. Those are usually the 4 things, and they stop paying so much attention to you and being so involved in the relationship. You need to recognize what time that is and stop, chasing after dude, banging them, spend time with you, and all of that kind of stuff. It's not going to happen. Okay, this is part of the vetting process. You got to stay aware of these kind of things. And if it's that the fall off happens, cut him off. Get rid of him. He's not the man for you anymore. He may have been, but now he's not. Okay, because he just fell off and he's doing stupid shit, and you need to just move on from him. Okay, so now we move on from that. Do the levels of commitment differ? This is point number 4 on my list. Do the levels of commitment differ? What does that mean? That means that you're thinking that you guys have something that is growing, that is going to be, something lovely and wonderful. And then you find out he wants to have a threesome. Okay. Now, a lot of you, you get stuck on the threesome. You don't think about what that means. Your man, who you agreed to have a one on one relationship with and see how far this could go, suddenly wants to involve another party in your intimacy, your intimate life as a couple. What does that mean? That means he's not as committed to the relationship as you would like to imagine that he is. You on some fantasy stuff, and he's on his reality thing, and he's telling you right now that it ain't like that. I'm on this, fantasy trip, and I may love you in my own weird little way, but I love this more, and I'm willing to risk my relationship with you to have this. That's what that means. Now, if you don't want to feel like that, you don't want to be a part of anything like that, this is your time to woman up and say, it appears that we're now on a different page in a different stage of life. So let's just cut ties right here. It's been nice knowing you the past whatever number of months was really nice. Thank you for those, and I'll check you out next lifetime. But you got to have the courage to do that. Okay. All right, so now let's move on to number 5. Sometimes people just get comfortable. And whereas they was on their best behavior before, now they just letting it all hang out. Just everything, just free with they shit, just free. Farting around you, picking their nose, half showing up for dates, showing up with stinky clothes and dirty, just tripping. Okay, so what are you going to do about that? This person is showing you a different side of themselves that you don't like. Okay, so you don't want to be treated like that. So, but you have to make a decision there about, how comfortable you are with letting them hang out and just be themselves. And if you don't want to be bothered with all that, then you know that this again, is not the guy for you. Number 6, I referenced peeling an onion earlier. But so say you still, you peeling the little thin layers of skin, one by one, week by week, more and more, deeper down. And then you get to a layer that has exposes something that you don't want to deal with. Okay, like I said, this may happen at the 90-day mark. You may have to do this assessment at 90 days, or you may do it any time prior to the 90-day mark. Don't think that this means you have to wait that long. So, what kind of things am I talking about? I'm talking about maybe you've met his kids now and you decide you don't like them little motherfuckers. Can't stand them. Or he got an ex who keeps fucking popping up, causing drama, stress, and strife that you don't want to be bothered with. Or he's got some friends you can't stand. He's got some family members you can't stand. He has some habits that you can't stand. Okay, a lot of you will just say, well, it's all right. I'm just going to ignore it. It's okay. It won't matter. The kids mainly going to be with the mama anyway. Blah blah blah. Okay, but you forget if that anything happens to that man, and I mean to that woman, he's next of kin. He's gonna get custody of that child like automatically. What you gonna do if you're with him, and now you're married to him, and now the kid comes and you can't stand the kid? What you gonna do? These are things that you need to be honest with yourself about right now. You need to be honest about that. Van, well, you better go back on Twitch. I don't know what to tell y'all. This horrible. I hate that YouTube always does this to me. Every time I'm doing my show. Um, yeah, it's not muted. So that's something to think about. I have two more. Number 7, this mate develops some new habits or some new associations which you feel threaten the security and stability of your security and stability in the relationship. Like say you guys are the couple, right? And he gets a new friend from we met at work, right? And this guy's a club hound. He like to chase pussy and drink and hang out in nightclubs all the time. And then your man starts hanging with this dude, and then suddenly he's gone all the time around all these single women, and he's in clubs and partying, coming home drunk, having hangovers and all this kind of stuff happens. It's like a little kid having a second childhood. What do you do in a situation like that? You no longer feel secure and your relationship no longer feels stable. If you are deeply invested in this guy, then I can understand what you mean. Uh, and how you wouldn't want to be bothered with that. Some of you might say, well, let me talk to him. I'm going to talk to him about it first. And that's probably good because then you want to be sure on what he's doing and how it's gonna, if he recognizes the thing himself and already has a plan to take care of it. You don't want to jump the gun there. But if he's like, what's the matter? You can't control me. I'm a grown ass man. I do what the fuck I want to do and go where the fuck I want to go. You don't like it, bitch. Get the fuck out. Okay, if he getting like that and all that kind of stuff, then you know what time it is. And then the last one, point number 8 on why relationships bomb at either 90 days or before. One of both of you fall in love with somebody else. This happens. In spite of how well you're doing, Like he happened to meet somebody else that he likes more. Or sometimes what they do is they decide to get back with the ex that they was with before they got with you. Kind of like you find out that you're a rebound, and he's still in love with that one. If you have any doubts about that, look at my video about how men never forget their first love. They never forget their first love. Some of them, I mean, at least 60% of men, if their first love would take them back today, they would go to her because that's who has their heart. You may have his body, and he may certainly love you, some kind of calm, cool little fake love, but his heart, the passion, the desire, and all of that, what makes him excited about being with someone is her. And if she wags her finger like this, he will leave you, his kids, his house, his job, everything, and go over there. And that's most men. So if you have a situation where he's loving someone else and he wants to go back to her, then there's really not anything you can do about it. I don't want you to sit there fighting him about it, begging and pleading, chasing him like a dummy, calling her, wanting to fight her, and all this old shit about some man. You just let him go. Let him go. I mean, and don't take him back because he's not gonna come back to you, uh, with any kind of sensible way. He's just gonna be, basically using you as a band aid because she broke his heart. Okay, so this is, let me see if there's any other video here. Oh, I did find one more. Wow, 231 people. That's a lot. I knew this video was going to be popular though because there's a lot of women who really need this information and they don't know what to do. How to get in a situation where they're realistically assessing the guy that they're with. And that's why I wanted to do this video. You've got to know this stuff. It's like so basic to this establishing the foundation of a meaningful relationship. So the final slide is this one, the selection process mistakes that women make on the road to commitment. This was actually supposed to be one of the early slides, one of the first ones. When we talked about the selection process is the initial screening process where you decide, like between 1.1 and 2, where you're still deciding if this is someone that you want to be with. You still, somewhere in that range of point 1 and 2. The slide is at the beginning of the video that talks about the three types of dating, the three phases of dating rather. This is between point 1 and 2. So point number one, number one mistake is that women assume too much or all of the responsibility for quote getting and keeping a man. Um, that's motivated by fear of being single, fear of not being married, fear of not having children, fear of being ashamed of being single, fear of being ridiculed by women who are married or people, family asking you, but when you gonna get a man? What's wrong with you? Why can't you keep a man? They don't want to hear all that. Instead of just cussing people down, telling them mind their own fucking business and stay out of yours, you guys internalize that and it becomes fear and anger and desperation. So when you finally do meet a man, you just throw all your screening habits, screening things out of the window and just try to quote make it work with him because you want to get and keep this man. That becomes your top priority by any means necessary. So you assume a lot of responsibility for getting at him and making the situation work. You may even put yourself in the role of pursuer. This is point two. You want to call him, you want to drive him, you want to set up all the dates. You do most of the texting, you do most of the initiating for anything physical, and you do a lot or all of the paying. And you move him into your place. He don't have to pay no bills. You take care of him like he's a child. All kind of stuff that goes on in that phase that is a huge mistake that a lot of women make. Okay. Now we go to number three. You choose a guy based on what other people say that you should want versus who you know is right for you. A lot of people are influenced by their families like, well, you should marry a doctor or you should marry Steve, or you should get with, Joe. He's a good, hard-working man. This and that. But to you, Joe looks like a troglodyte, and you ain't trying to be associated with him. And the thought of him touching you makes your skin want to be ripped off. So it's like, you have to be with somebody who you admire and respect. This guy, he might be the Steve guy, he might be having a good job or whatever, but you find that he's very shallow. He's very one dimensional. He's like looks down on people. He's full of sneers and snide remarks and put down. He's very condescending when he talks to you. See, these are things that a lot of elders don't see that we see in their actual relationship. So that would make him somebody that you really wouldn't want to be with, right? But you go out with him because these other people say that he's a good catch and that you should. You're trying to please them instead of pleasing yourself. And so there's a lot of women make that mistake, okay? Now we move on to number 4. You don't really know what you want. So you drift out and in and out of one relationship after another with low quality, busted booger bear motherfuckers. Now what's that mean? That means these dudes are shit. They're not about nothing. And here you are in calling yourself in a relationship with them, and you have one series of one after another that are all the same. Losers. They don't have no car. They don't have no money. They don't have no job. They walk around with their pants hanging out or something, just talking shit. They're violent and threatening. I mean, all kinds of real egregious stuff is wrong with them, but you continue to deal with this type because you've never in your mind sat down and determined what it is that you need in a man and stick to it. That seems to be the hardest thing for women to do. Stick to their guns about stuff. You don't know what a troglodyte is? I don't know. It's like a monster, like a troll, but it's even worse because it's not little. I don't know. It was in a song in the like 70s or 80s or something. I remember it though from when I was a kid. Talking about a troglodyte. And in my mind, it was something really horrible. So that's how I'm using it. All right. Or you do this one, the number 5. You choose by superficial societal or peer standards. You focus on looks, you focus on the money, you focus on his body, you focus on his fame, you focus on his power, and you ignore all the other qualities that would provide you with internal satisfaction and long-term happiness. You push those aside for this showy stuff. You want to be like what they call the first lady of the church, right? Never mind that your husband's an idiot like John Gray. I finally read what people was talking about it. I was disgusted as fuck at that motherfucker. And I'm like, this is some unbelievable bullshit. And so, but she want to be the first lady, right? So she put up with all this bullshit from this nigga, and he is a piece of shit. I mean, who does that? Who treats their wife like that? And call yourself a man of God. He's a piece of shit. So you got a man like that to treat you all kind of crazy ways and talk to you crazy and totally, just like rips your heart out. But you stay with him because he got looks, he got money, he got power, he got fame, something like that. He's abusive and he's cruel and he's dismissive and he's arrogant and he's just talking to you crazy and makes you feel small and hurt. But you stay with him. You picked him because of you trying to make other people be envious of you instead of looking at what's going to make you happy long term. Number 6, you have a list of standards and MQs, those minimum qualifications I referred to earlier, but you ignore them because you think it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. You even though you argue with this man all the time, y'all fussing and fighting at each other. There's cheating, there's lying, there's corner cutting and evasiveness, lack of accountability, lack of responsibility. You still want to deal with him anyway. I don't know why you do that. It's like, why did you bother even establishing a list of your MQs if you're not going to adhere to it? You just go hire anybody for the job, whether they have experience or knowledge or training or anything. It's a warm body to sit in a chair, and so there you go. Sit, have a seat, sir. Let me get you some coffee, sir. Yeah, that was some sad, sad mess. I always wanted to throw up when I read that. Okay, now, the other one. Number 6, you're impatient. Okay, you may feel your biological clock ticking. You just want to be in a relationship. I don't know. Some women just want to be in a relationship. They have to have a man. So you start putting pressure on dude. You wanna ask him. Well, where's this going on the second date? What are your intentions on the third date? Can he know your middle name first? Maybe. Can he know something more about you then you want to nail, you want to lock shit down, and you want to like put a wrap a bow around it and put it to a title by saying, this is what I want to know where this is going and what's your intentions. He's not going to have any intention because he doesn't know you yet. What you're going to do is run him off. And I knew a woman who did some mess like this, and she was a host, another host on Blog Talk. I was on their show, I remember, and she was talking about how she dates, and she was 37 and talking about she want to get married, and that one of the first things she would do when she was out on a first date with the dude is ask him what's your intentions and where is this going, what kind of relationship you looking for. And dudes would be like and her ass is still single. I mean, beautiful woman, obviously very intelligent, skilled, and all of that stuff. She had a nice voice, nice body. I mean, everything I saw about her looked nice, but she was putting too much pressure on dudes. And then, like, no dude is gonna say he's gonna be like, they're gonna be trying to hold him to it, and he might find out, on your next date that you dumb. He's not gonna commit like that. Come on now. I'm telling you, I was like shocked that she was like that. I was like, girl, you doing way. I like, okay, here's too much, and you like 900 levels past that. So I don't know whatever happened to her because y'all stopped doing my show on Blog Talk. I did that show for 9 years. Oh, 8 years. 8 years, almost nine. Then I came over here. I'm like, what the hell is this? Okay, so then we go to number 8. You allow the infatuation phase to dictate your behavior. So you don't stay true to yourself. You in the infatuation phase where you don't really know him yet, but you all excited and thinking, having the fantasies of his perfection and wonderfulness and everything that's unproven. So here you are, your ass turned up pregnant. Why are you pregnant? Because you've been having unsafe sex and you trusting this motherfucker. Ain't had tests in the first. Don't know nothing about what his habits are. Is he one of them DL brothers or nothing? You give the motherfuckers the keys or you let him move in. You let him babysit your kids and you don't know nothing about him. He's a straight pedophile or something. And you don't, you not paying no attention to that. How he looking at your 12-year-old daughter all kind of sideways. Your 10-year-old son, all kind of sideways. You ain't paying no attention to that. You just all enamored of the fact that you got a man now. Or you give him your ATM pin number, a key to your car, keys to your house. I mean, all kind of stuff y'all be doing. And this is in the infatuation phase. You don't know nothing about him. You haven't gone to the discovery phase or the commitment phase. You just want to kind of advance past all that and give all the trappings of a commitment to some individual that you don't even really know. And then the last one on my list is that you struggle with trusting yourself. You accept incompatibility or not reaping the expected benefits, and you just do that rather than let the mess go. You just want to hang up. So these are all, this list I just read of these 9 things was the selection process mistakes that women make on the road to commitment. That's what I called this slide, which unfortunately didn't make it into the slideshow. But I think that's all of them now. And there we go. All right. So anybody have any questions before we move on? I just want to show this one slide here for people that came in late. This is what I'm talking about here, the 3 phases of dating that I just referenced. The infatuation phase, the discovery phase where you find out who and what this man is a little bit, and then the commitment phase where you decide that you're going to be in a relationship together, and the discovery of who and what he is continues. Those are the 3 phases of dating, and then you get into things like being engaged and being married. But these are the top 3 phases, the only 3 phases of dating, and it's what we addressed in this video. So let me go over some of my questions. He asked you to do his banking and his taxes. Oh, so you're supposed to do it free? That's kind of interesting. Okay, these questions they may sound, innocent and not really very painful to answer, but these questions are strategic. Because if you know how to listen for the right information, you will discover that you're getting some really good information from this guy that lets you know how he really feels. uh, and how he really thinks. Because they're not like I said, they're not like Barbara Walters under the hot lights type of questions. Um, Wait a minute. Where are my questions? I got too many pieces of paper. Okay. And, and I do want to stress that you do want to maintain a little bit of flexibility. You can be flexible. I mean, the person might not be 100% of what you have on your list, but the things that they do have are so strong that the things that they don't are kind of move into the background. But only you can determine the order of priority of the things that would be on your list of MQs. I can't do that for you. I know what's on mine, but what's on mine might be very different from what's on yours. So, we're different people. You have different needs. You have different experiences. You have different expectations of men. I mean, we're all different. Every lady is different. But there are certain things that are basic is that the person must be compatible to you. The person must be a person of integrity, and otherwise, you can't trust him. You can't trust his word. I mean, a man's word should be his bond. That's like an honor code amongst men. When you have a guy who doesn't honor his word and he just blows people off like, fuck, that's not a man. I don't know what that is. He's just like a, perpetrator in it, like a child in a man's body, but he doesn't have the honor code of manhood, and so he may look like a man, but he's not one, and you should not give him the benefits of being one because he's not one. All right. All right. Oh, somebody said they never understood the height. Well, I mean, it's it can be interesting if you really love the man. It's like you transcend into a spiritual plane. It's really hard to discuss. It's really hard to talk about. But it's like, you feel like there's this light around you. It's very interesting. And I've experienced that several times, and it was kind of mind blowing where you like, what the fuck just happened? What was that? And, but you're right. Usually, you sleeping with somebody, they don't know what the fuck they doing. You just want to hurry up and be over. It's just like, this guy is just like getting sweat on me and stuff and sweating up my sheets for no reason. All right, so some of these what are these questions that you might typically ask? Okay, there's like the basic foundational questions, the basic getting to know you stuff that you might ask on the phone. Like, where are you originally from, right? Because I can tell you, everybody in here, there's few native people in the Bay Area. Most of the people here are from somewhere else. Now, I don't know about where you guys live, but here, like to run into a native San Franciscan like me is very rare. We're very rare around here. Everybody's from somewhere else. So it would make sense to ask, so where are you originally from? If they say San Francisco, then you can say, oh, me too. Wow, we're like, like dodo birds, just about extinct, or make some kind of joke about it, or say, oh, we're really, what brought you to California? Each question opens the doors for more probing questions to ask. Okay, what you want to avoid, like I said before, is any question that can be answered with a yes or a no. You want to ask questions that provide this person the opportunity to share their thoughts and feelings, life experience, tell a story, share, information about the people that they're with, talk about what they know, what they learned, how they grew. You want those kinds of questions to be part of the discussion as you try to get to know this person. No yes, no no, because that's boring and it's just that, no, that doesn't work. Okay, so this person, did you go to college, whatever. Oh, so what was your major? Oh, my major was computer science with a side in psychology. Oh, my minor was psychology. Oh, that's an interesting combination. How'd you choose that? So you can like tell if the computer system is crazy, what's going on. Whatever you want, however you want to word it. But you do want to, find out. Okay, so a person who's into computer science tends to be very linear thinking, like engineers as well. They're very linear thinkers, and not really the out of box type of folks. So they're gonna think, well, this is the standard, this is the way that it's supposed to be done, and this is how we're going to do it. So to think outside of that, based on a man's profession, that will tell you a lot about how he thinks and how he resolves problems and communicates and everything else. All right. What kind of work do you do? Now, This isn't for you to try to figure out what kind of income he does. This is for you to figure out how happy he is in the place he has to spend 40 hours or more a week. Okay? If he loves his job or if he hates his job. So you're like, what kind of work do you do? And he'll like, oh, I'm let me think of something. Oh, I don't know. I'm a real estate attorney. Well, how do you feel about that? Oh, I love it because blah 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 blah, and you can see his transformation. You can see that this man is really into his work. You can see that he loves his choice of professions. This is who he is. This is the man that he is, and he represents his clients. He takes great responsibility for these people, for making sure their shit is done right. I mean, he's gonna talk you through what he does and how he does it. And then you have a man who at least has a code of honor and integrity when it comes to his clients. Now, how he is in his relationships, that could tell another story. But you know that it's at least there. You see what I mean? You got some dude that's like, oh, I'm not working for the man. I be on the corner selling my incense and my beaded bracelets and my dashikis and shit. That's what I do. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Okay, I would get up and walk away from the table. That date would be fucking over. That's it. I don't do hoteps. All right. One thing that's really fun is to ask people, do you have a nickname or did you have a nickname when you was a kid? See what they say. That's just always hilarious. Because, here you are looking at some, professional looking dude. He all shiny suited up and everything. And then he says, yeah, when I was a kid, my nickname was Beetlehead or something. I don't know, something, crazy. And then that's what everybody called me. My grandmother gave me that name. Ha ha ha. Then you can fall out laughing. Okay, that shit is funny. And what the more you do that can like break the ice, the better it is because the more people are more relaxed. He's gonna tell you more stuff. He's gonna be more open to your questions. You're gonna get longer answers. Is he the manager? I don't know. Hey, Bad Wench just popped in. Yes, yes, okay. Then you ask about siblings, brothers and sisters. Um, you know, where do you fit in that lineup? Okay, there's books written about birth order, like the oldest child with, like, say, an oldest boy with younger sisters, an older boy with younger brothers, older sister with younger brother. There's different behavior patterns and mentalities associated with each one. And I'm not saying it's a scientific thing, but it might be, it might be interesting at least for you to read about. And then, one thing I like, so they say they have, he's got a sister and a couple of brothers or something. So then I like to ask, okay, just between me and you, which one is your favorite? I'm not going to tell them, but just tell me. I want to know. And, they usually will laugh and then they'll tell you, well, really, I like, my sister's the best. My brother is just a knucklehead and blah, blah, blah. We used to fight all the time when we was kids. But my sister, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he's going to tell you, like, oh, now if he likes his sister the best, then you in there. As long as you act like his sister acted, you be all right. Okay? I like to know if they have pets. And then I like to know what kind of pets. Now, because there's a certain mentality that guys who have pit bulls that like to walk around the streets with their dogs on a chain looking tough and stuff, um, they have a different kind of mentality than, say, a guy who has a cat, a guy who has birds or fish, exotic fish tank or whatever, saltwater fish or whatever, or some kind of little, family type dog like a cocker spaniel, um, you know, even like something like a German Shepherd. Those are companions are great dogs, but they're not known to be fierce or violent. And it's like, even though people swear that their pits aren't like that, we know that they tend to snap. Same with Rottweilers. They just change on you in a minute and just to go rogue, and then you just be trying to figure out what the fuck happened. But it still is a certain mentality of a person who wants that type of dog. There's a reason why they want that type of dog versus another. So that might give you some insight too, especially if you're afraid of dogs or you got bit by a dog as a kid. Um, it's one thing to know, like about their best friend, the person who's supposed to know them the best. How long have you known your best friend? How would you describe him or her? When did you guys meet? Those kind of little follow up questions. And then it's like, if I asked your best friend to tell me three things about you, what would he or she say? You know, That's always interesting too, to ask people that kind of stuff to get them to think about it. I like to know if the person was a morning person or a night owl. I'm kind of both. I like to burn the candle at both ends until I just pass out from exhaustion. Um, you want to find out, like a good question, like you sit down, right? You in the screening process. Oh, so what did you know? Hi, I'm so and so, blah blah blah. You sit down, you order your food or whatever, your coffee, whatever you doing. So, what did you do today? What did you do last weekend? Either one of those is good because it's going to give you an idea. Like if it's during the work week, of course, most people say, "Oh, I just went to work," blah blah blah. Now, if you talk about what happened on the weekend, that gives you insight into what this kind of person, what they do. If they're, a quiet kind of loner type, if they need a lot of, downtime after a busy week, or if they like see it like, yay, it's the weekend, and they ripping and running and going everywhere and active and seeing everybody and doing everything. Okay, how would that fit with you? Are you which kind of person are you? Which one would you be most comfortable with? I'm not going a ripper and a runner. I hate all that kind of shit. I already know that. I'm not going to be going with you every damn place you go. I want to be quiet. I like to be at home. I like to read. I like to do my stuff on my computer. I like to research shit. I love to cook. That's why I have a cooking blog and a cookbook. I mean, I like stuff that's kind of actually solitary interest. I hate to say it, but I admit it. I'm a loner person. I will associate with people, but my basic nature is I am a loner. I don't need a whole bunch of people around me, and it's something I've never really liked. So, in my day to day life, I'm spending a lot of time by myself, and that's my choice. I'm happiest then. So, for me to be with a dude who liked a lot of activity, people running in and out of his house, he always on the go somewhere, that I can't. You're going to have to do that without me. I'm not going. Well, see, that's a good question, but that's a bit too much, right? At this point, I'm talking about the lady. He might tell you that I would never suggest that you ask a man if he has brothers and sisters by different parents. What is that? That's not your business. Who was the parents of the people he considers his brothers and sisters? He might say, well, I have two half brothers and a sister. Okay, now you know they got different parents, but that should come from him. That should never be anything that you ask him. That is too damn nosy. You don't be doing that. You don't ask overly intrusive personal questions of people that you just met. Because you don't know who you dealing with. Like somebody like me would cuss your ass out. Be asking me that shit. How's that your goddamn business? You here to learn about me, not to be asking nosy ass questions about my family. So then you would get cussed out. And you don't anyway, ignore that person's comment. Do not do that. Don't. Um You might want to ask them what are their top three pet peeves. I like to limit it to three or five, an odd number, um, because you want to know what kind of things mash their buttons. Now, if it's some what you would consider dumb shit, see, then you're not gonna have respect for them. You're gonna have they're gonna have lost you with that one question. You're gonna be looking at them like, damn, you just a whiny fucktard. I'm not gonna be bothered with you because then you'll be complaining about me. So these are some things that you need to understand and be concerned about. What I would- you know my One of my pet peeves is people when you driving right and there's an end, the lights there, and everybody's got a line of cars trying to make this turn and get on. And the person is you, the next car, and your ass wait till the car in front of you goes like half a mile before you start creeping out. You go through the intersection at the speed of a fucking snail, and it's 12 people behind you that are also trying to get to work or get on the freeway or make it through this turn light before the 5 minutes that they have to wait again for the turn light signal to come back on. Okay, get your ass through the intersection. Okay, hit the gas. You got a car, make the car go. You go through the intersection. You should be just a few feet behind the car in front of you so that everybody can get through the intersection. That is one of my pet peeves. That shit drives me fucking crazy, especially when I'm waiting to turn and they driving all slow in front of me. I've been known to speed around people and get through the I know it's illegal, but I do it anyway because I'm just like you taking too long. Like, I'm aging here. Let's go. But see, that's me. That's one thing that I absolutely hate. And so I would, share that. I don't know about the other two. I'd have to think about it. Then I would like to know, well, okay, we're going as a date and stuff. What's the worst date you ever been on in your life? Honey, I have heard some stories that have you on the floor. Some of these women are just like, oh my God, sis, come on now, really? And the dudes be like, we're just too willing to tell the story. They don't mention any names or anything, but you just go, they take you through it. And I love stories. That's why I like, I tell them to you guys about my life and different experiences and stuff that I've had. Stories are the best. So, you get into it. If you have a vivid imagination, you can just see it happening like a movie in your mind. It's hilarious. So, what's the worst date? What's the best date? Those are two good questions to ask. What's on your bucket list? Now, this tells you stuff that the person, how big is their imagination? What is it that's important to them or that they're willing to try and risk? If somebody says, oh, I don't have a bucket list, okay, this is a boring motherfucker. If someone says, well, I have a bucket list, but I already did everything on mine, okay, well, you going to make a new one? I mean, you still got years to go in life. Come on now. So you're looking for some kind of feedback like that. Um, then we might ask them if you really want to start up a stirring conversation. Say, look, we're both single. What would you say are the pros and the cons of being single versus being in a relationship? What is it for men? Because I know women have pros and cons too, but ours are probably different. What would you say? So it's like it's a question, but it's like that's a good question kind of thing. The guy's going, let me think. Well, there's probably this and that. So this is some stuff that can keep conversation going, get you guys laughing, and you also get to see how he thinks. If he doesn't have any pros for being a couple, then that's something that you want. Why are you there? I mean, this is gonna be the last date. At least it should. Don't waste your time talking about I'm gonna change his mind. I'm gonna whip this on him. It's gonna be so good. He gonna want this. Blah 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 blah. It's not gonna be like that. Yeah, bucket lists are good. I watched it. I got that from that movie. Um, One thing you like, say you like to travel, right? Now you don't want to ask somebody, do you like to travel? Because why? What did I just tell you? That's a yes or no question. You don't ask it that way. What you say is, where'd you go on your last vacation? That's how you ask it because it's open ended. See, I keep trying to get you guys to understand. You don't ask questions that can end with a yes or a no. Do you like? Do you not like? Well, you don't want that. You want to say, well, where'd you go on your last vacation? Or, your last weekend away, or, whatever way you want to put it. And then it says, oh, I went to blah, 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 blah. Or they say, oh, I don't take vacations. I don't really like to travel too much. Or I went to see my mama. Oh yeah, the favorite superhero. That's another one. Uh, Luckily, I can answer my phone from my watch. You're too young to have a bucket list and you're 20. No, you're not. Plenty of people have a bucket list at 20. That's just like a vision board for you people your age. But it doesn't matter because you never know when your ticket's going to be punched. You know what I mean? You got shit that you want to do before they throw dirt on your face. You may have longer years, anticipate having longer years to accomplish the list, but you should still have one and you're not too young. You're not too young. One thing I also like to do is like, how do you feel about women making the first move? Like if a woman sees a dude that she likes, what say you, and she wanted to talk to you, how would you feel about that? What would you expect her to say or do? And see what he says. I mean, I think, I like to, my mind goes all over the place. So I'm just sharing some of the things that, for other examples of questions, which I think I talked about the superhero question there in the video, the man behind the mask, which also goes into how to, it's not on this level, but it talks about how to ask men open ended questions on dates and get an idea of how he thinks. But this video expands it more and talks about, three phases of dating instead of just, what question to ask on a first date. So this one is more expansive, but I will link to that video at the end where you put the videos that you people can get more information. I'll put it up there. You just click it and go and watch that video to follow up to this one and give you a lot more ideas about questions to ask. Um, One thing that I want to do, like, okay, if he responds positively to this question about women making the first move, well, why not? Men always accept rejection, blah, blah, blah. He goes into this thing. Then that's when you spring on him. Oh, so you sound like you're an advocate for feminism. Is that what I'm hearing here? So it's gonna be hard for him to say no. I hate feminism. So then, see, now we in an argument stage because I'm not gonna let that shit slide. Oh, so it's feminism is good when it's to your benefit, but when it's something that you feel is taking something away from you as a man, then feminism is bad. Is that what I'm hearing here? See, I'm not gonna mince words. I'm gonna hold folks' feet to the fire. And it's not to say that this is a bad discussion, but what this would do is point out to him the hypocrisy of his ideals, and to let him know I'm not stupid. And every time I see you talk about some shit that don't make no goddamn sense, I'm gonna call you on it. So he knows about me too. I'm letting him know, I'm not that one. I'm not that chick. And then he will know that you better watch your p's and q's with me because every time you do some bullshit, I'm gonna call you on it. So, he might not like that too much, and oh well. We don't have to have date number two. Now, let's talk about deal breakers. Everybody has one or two or more. I have a whole list of deal breakers. I will drop your ass for any one of them. So, let's say you picked a deal breaker and you say, what do you think of blah blah? You insert whatever your deal breaker is in that sentence. And pick the thing that is your top deal breaker, or at least in the top three, because in this question you're trying to see if this alone is enough for you to move to phase two, or if this is where you end with him phase one. Pick your number one deal breaker, and then that's when you ask him. But you're not asking him that question directly. You're phasing it euphemistically as uh, what do you think of blah blah blah. So he won't know that it's a deal breaker because you're not using that word with him. Are you understanding where I'm coming from? Okay. Well, he's not going to tell you about a criminal record, most likely, because that's not the question. That's not the way that it's phrased. It's what do you think of blah blah? Or what do you think about blah blah? Okay, so that part you would find yourself out probably in phase two, which let me show you again the slide. So, infatuation phase when you just meet him and you think, oh my God, this could be lovely. This could be the one. Oh my God, he's just so hot. He's so fine. Okay. And then we're talking right now about the discovery phase. So, you're asking questions. You guys are, he already made the initial screening, but now you're getting questions into his head. You're trying to figure out what's going on with dude, and then you're going to move into commitment if he passes your, second level screening. All right. So you might ask him, how would you, how, who are three, say three, see again, 3 to 5. I don't know why I like three and I like five, but that's just me. Who are, the or five most important people in your life? See what he said. Oh, nobody's important to my life. My mama, uh, my daddy, or, nobody really. Something like that. Me. Okay, you do with that information what you will, but it's gonna show you, a, if he has no real attachments, or he's somebody he's saying that's an important person, but you ask, oh well, when is the last time you spent time with that person? When's the last time you seen that person? Oh, it hasn't been for years. Okay, I don't know about that. That's kind of a problem. You dated a guy who disagreed with feminism until his dad left his stay-at-home mom and took all the money. Now he has to support his mother. Oh well, yeah, but see, he disagrees with feminism, so you support patriarchy. Patriarchy means you take care of your mama. That's what that means. All right, I can't feel sorry for him. How would you describe your sense of humor? What makes you laugh the hardest? Some people like slapstick comedy, like the Three Stooges. Some people are very sarcastic, have that kind of sense of humor. Some people like political humor. Some people like raw humor, like Richard Pryor style. You know, uh it just depends, so you got to figure, he's going to tell you what kind of stuff makes him laugh. See if you're all on the same page, because if you tell him certain kind of jokes that make you laugh, and then you all ain't on the same page, at least where he can understand and appreciate that kind of sense of humor, then you're going to be always laughing by yourself, and that's going to be a lonely existence where the same things are not funny. That's really hard. That's very challenging to be in a relationship like that. I've done it, and it was like, oh my God, this has got to end. I mean, to me, I love to laugh, and I thought, uh, this guy, he just didn't get my, I like a lot of witty sayings and witty kind of jokes that show thought and, parallels and stuff like that. He didn't get that stuff. It just went right over his head. And so it was like, oh my God, we got no, we can't do this. So, as I'm saying, people, if you really give a lot of thought to it, you have to think about this kind of stuff, and then only you can determine what you can compromise on. Is this something that you can compromise on? Is it going to really disturb you that much in the relationship? Because in any man that you get with, you're going to have to make some adjustments, because they all have a bit of crazy to them. Don't get me wrong. But you have to make sure that the stuff that you're compromising on isn't stuff that's very, very serious. It's going to really tear you up emotionally and cause you a lot of pain and angst and sorrow and confusion, and where you feel insecure in the relationship and you don't trust the relationship. That's what you want to avoid, and that's unfortunately what I keep seeing. These hundreds of women that write my advice column and talk to me online and stuff, and it's like the same pattern over and over. You guys ignored the red flags of incompatibility, and you got with the dude anyway. You knew the shit wasn't gonna work. You tried to compromise for some basic foundational morals and values and stuff that you need, and the guy is not that dude. You trying to make him be that dude. He already showed you who he was, but you didn't want to believe it. You wasn't trying to hear it. You wanted to imagine that you could change him, that your love was so fantabulous that it would make him love you and change and all this kind of stuff, and it never works that way. It never works that way. Another one that's really good is, do you have a dream that you're pursuing right now? Now he might say no. I'm pretty content with my life the way it is. Okay, but if he's only like in his 30s and he's already content with life, he's just gonna stay the same way he is right now. Oh my God! If you as a human, you're supposed to be, the human being is the term, but it's more like a human becoming, because you can't stop learning and growing and changing to be a better person, a smarter person, um, a more wise person as you mature. That's supposed to be your goal. So if he's just happy with being who and what he is right now, I already know that shit is over. And not to say, not to criticize him and say that there's something wrong with him. I'm saying, where's your desire to be better than where you are now? You've just reached this basic level and you just satisfied with that. See, that's a basic motherfucker. I can't be bothered with no basic man. I need somebody who's stellar, you know. But he might not tell you that he's bad with money. I don't know. I thought about, what do you think of? Like I said, you're not using the words deal breaker here. That's something that's you guys are putting in definitive terms. That's not the answer is not what you would get. You would be asking something else in some other kind of way. But you have to think about that. Like I said, you figure out what's the deal, what's the deal breakers, the most important things for you, and pick one of the top three. All right. Another one that I like is, what was your first job? What's your first job? Did you, out of all the jobs that you've had since then, see this is like an employment, one. Which one did you like the best and why? So say, on your first job, he did, I don't know, worked in a fast food place. He worked at, you know, uh, In and Out Burgers or something. They pay pretty good. I remember years ago they was paying $10. Everybody else was making like five something or six, and they was paying 10. They had a lot of high school and college students working there. They work hard, but they make good money for for their age. Um, And then you ask, so which one did you like the best out of all the jobs? And then then he's gonna tell you, oh, I worked at here in this sense. I really loved that job because blah 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 blah. And we used to blah 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 blah. And then by the time I had to leave there, I was blah 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 blah. And my manager was blah 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 blah. Okay, so if he's something he's like, he's gonna take it back to that, and he's gonna get like a pleased look on his face. His mood will elevate. He'll feel pretty good. You want to ask questions that have a positive ending. So then my thing would be like, I'm a real foodie. Okay, I like to eat international cuisine. I eat at places all over the world. International cuisine. I know how to cook it. So I just consider myself a foodie. So I say, okay, I'm a real foodie. But what would you say is the best thing that you've ever eaten in your life? What was the best thing that you ever ate? I want to hear about it in details. I want to know about the sauce. I want to know about the crispy crunch. I want to know how it looked. I want to know all the details because that's how I am. I'm a foodie. Then I would might ask, do you like television? Now, see, I am not a TV fan. I don't have cable. I haven't watched TV unless I go to a relative or friend's house. We don't watch TV in my house. We read or we do other stuff, but we do not sit down and watch TV. I occasionally watch some movies. I like my Korean dramas when I have time to watch them, but I don't really watch TV, so I'm not really familiar with all the sitcoms and all this kind of stuff. But this is still an interesting question. So if you watch TV or do you watch movies? Okay, I like movies. Blah blah blah. Well, what's your favorite one? Blah blah blah. Well, never mind that. So if you could go and live in a movie that was like any time period or any kind of setting and stuff, what movie would you pick? Where would you want to live in real life? If you could hop through the TV screen and live there, which one would you choose? Isn't that a good question? See, I tell you, my imagination is wild. I just think about crazy shit. And watch when you ask them, watch their eyes get big, as they start imagining what you told them, right? They see it in their head. So then they're going to tell you which TV show that they would like to live in and why. It's very interesting question. What's your most valuable possession? What is it? Oh, it's something I inherited from my great grandfather. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. If you could have lunch with any three people that lived in the past or that are alive now in the present, who would that be? Who would you want to sit at the lunch table with you? I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. Damn, come on now. Who would be at my table? I know Harriet Tubman would have to be one. I definitely want her. I'm thinking, you know what I mean? So see, I'm just showing people is gonna give it a lot of thought. So be patient. Sit there eating your food or drinking your coffee while he comes up with an answer. And then no matter what he says, say, oh, those are interesting choices. Tell me why you chose those people. I don't give a fuck who he says it is. That's your follow-up question. Those are interesting people. Why did you choose them? Okay? There's a two-part question here. And I don't care. Like I said, he could be saying he wished it was Fred Flintstone. That's an interesting choice. Why did you choose him? Okay. And then you get a hint to his head. See, well, all the whole point of this lady is getting you to be connected to this man mentally. Okay, if he likes what he sees and he smiles and stuff, he tells you pretty or whatever. Okay, that's a wrap. That's already done. He likes that part. You don't need to worry about that anymore. Now let's get into what you're gonna do to draw him to you so that he feels connected to you mentally, because that's how you keep a man around. Because he knows he's not gonna get that kind of sense of fun and adventure and mental and intellectual stimulation from anybody but you. Okay, and he'll be hungry for it. He can't wait to get it because you make him laugh. You make his mind soar with ideas and possibilities. You have a creative side to you that just makes him go, well, goddamn. He's always like surprised, walking around with his eyes big because he's like, I never know what the fuck you going to say or what the hell you going to ask me. It's wild being around you, but I love it, okay? He's not going to get that from nobody but you because most women are boring as fuck. Boring. They don't do shit. They don't have no hobbies or interests other than a man and a job. Okay, I have a video about that too on here. I did that thing about 7 or 8 years ago, and it's done with cartoon characters, but it's talking about a basic woman being just like boring. But I'll try to remember to link to that too. So the next thing I ask is, okay, now we're on the last page. Are you guys getting this? Let me see. Does anybody have any questions as we going through this? Okay, anybody, everybody understand what's going on so far? Do you have any questions before I finish up the questions that you should ask? Anybody got ideas, questions, comments about the content, about how to vet a man? Yes, definitely Harriet. I definitely want to meet her. I'm thinking Harriet Tubman and what's his name? The one who killed. They made a movie about him where he killed all the white slave owners, and well, he ended up getting killed anyway. But he was like not having it. I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Yes, you have homework. Yes, I see. I think it goes by the topic. You know, this was the topic that a lot of people wanted uh, to learn about, to know about. And I think that it's something that's extremely important for women. Well, you'll find that out. You'll find that out, Tiki, but let's not go into it with a negative mindset because you are going to ask these questions that are not really about, yes, Nat. That's what I was saying. Him and Harriet Tubman, and I don't know who the third person, maybe Tupac. He's always fascinated me. I'd want to know what his story was. Yes. No, not the. Well, that might be something. I don't want to know what he's most proud of because I don't care what he's most proud of. I want to know what I'm most proud. I want to know how he thinks mostly, not really. Yeah, I want to know what's important to him in a more basic sense. But that is a good question. Like if you get to level number two or but 2.5 to 3 with him, are you in the commitment phase? Then that would be a good question to ask, because you want to go, you're still peeling the onion. Remember, you're going a little bit deeper. These questions are designed to be like fun and light and to give you some good information and insight into the guy without being overly intrusive. Yeah, I put that on there, Tiki. That was one of the first questions. Um, okay, so nobody really has questions. Okay, let's move on. What is the most challenging thing that you've done, that you've ever accomplished, or the scariest thing that you've ever done? I knew this girl, like a guy, would try to ask her something like that. What's the scariest thing that she did, or the most unique, or, something along those lines. Remember that show called Fear Factor? She was a trainer at the gym with me. She had gone on that show. And so she would talk about her adventure on Fear Factor. The shit was hilarious as hell. I think they covered her with spiders or something. And she is terrified of them. She was screaming like a fool in the video. It was like we would play at the gym on Halloween. That clip of her screaming. Just to fuck with her. But people are mean. But we used to mess with her so bad about that. But she would talk about that on her dates, and the guys would just love it. They would just fall out laughing. And so she was gorgeous. Anyway, she was about 5'11", looked like a model, but she was a trainer, and you know, she got she got a lot of dates. So she would talk to them about that. Um, have you ever had a truly embarrassing experience? Then he's like, oh, yeah, okay, he's gonna be looking all bashful and stuff. So then you lean in and you be like, all conspiracy oriented in the face and like, do you want to share? How about you share the story? I'm dying to hear it and stuff. And as you smile laughing because you know this shit's gonna be funny. And then I'll tell my embarrassing story. Now, this is the other thing about this, you guys. For each question that you ask him, be prepared with an answer of your own. Because he could very well say now, well, what about your story? What was the most embarrassing thing that happened to you? Because he just spilled his guts right. So he going to want to know, what the most embarrassing thing that happened to you. So, you need to talk about that. what was the scariest thing. And I remember for mine, I don't know about embarrassing, but my dad had taken us fishing and crabbing one time on this pier, right? I was probably about 12 or 13 years old. And I'm on the pier. My dad specifically told us not to fuck with the crabs, okay? He's like, you don't want to mess with the crabs, just leave them alone. Because they was mad, they in the bucket and they trying to get out. And so, me, I'm going to reach in there anyway and try to be all big and bad and stuff. So I grabbed the crab. Well, while I was grabbing that crab by the back, one that was in the bucket was trying to grab at that one, and he got a hold of my finger. Honey, you talking about a heifer running around screaming. I sure was. I was running around. My brothers were trying to catch me. My daddy was laughing his ass off. And I'm running around the pier trying to get this thing off of me. I'm waving it like I'm like beating it on the side of the thing. I'm trying anything to make this thing let go. And the more I tried to get it off, the harder it held on. I mean, really, I was like, my finger, I could feel where it's like compressed. It's like bent, like right here, where that thing was mashing my bones. Because you figure, at 11, 12, you're still growing, right? Your bones are a little bit still soft. And so that thing squeezed the fuck out of my finger, and it's like indented right here. I could still feel it. Oh, he crushed my bone and reshaped the bone. I tell you what, after that, my daddy said, don't do something. I listened. But yeah, that was pretty. All these people, you got a whole bunch of people on the pier that I didn't know, laughing at my ass, racing around, shaking a crab at the tip of my finger. It was funny as hell. Well, at the time, I wasn't laughing though. All right. Does anyone to ask him? Well, what, like, say, what topic do you think of? What thing or what could you spend hours talking about? But it's like, what do you like that much that you could spend hours talking about it? That's a good question. And then, like, you're gonna get an idea. Is he a planner? Is he like to have everything set out in advance, or is he just kind of a spontaneous dude? We might ask, okay, you go on your weekend trips. Do you plan everything out, or do you just kind of go with the flow? You pick a place to go, and then you just go on the flow after that. Which one do you think? Which one do you tend to do the most? And see. Safe. That's funny. I did that too. And the on the platform shoes will kill you. I was crossing an intersection trying to hurry up and catch a bus. I was probably about 20. I'm in these little, oh, the shoes was cute. And I'm trying running. I had my little tights on and this little white sundress or some little white dress. I remember it was white and had flowers on it. And had some little white, pantyhose looking things on, and these platform sandal shoes. And you could tell me that my ass was not fly. I'm running, trying to, the girly run across the street to get the bus. And suddenly, I don't know what happened, but I went flying and landed and skidded in the crosswalk. And the streets are oily. That dress was fucked up. My pantyhose was ripped. I stood up and I looked a hot mess. I had this black streak on the front of my dress. My chin was skinned. My hands was jacked up. The forearm was jacked up. The dress was ruined. My pantyhose was ripped, and my knees were bleeding. And I mean, that happened so fast. And I was just standing there in the intersection, just looking all kinds of fucked up. It was terrible. All right. And then say, when you pass on, what is this that you want to be remembered for? Maybe, like, I don't know, three things. What do you want to be most remembered for? And then my final one is, if you won, just say $50 million in a lottery, what would you do with the money? And would you choose the lump sum or the 20-year payout? Which one would which one do you think is the best option? And what would you do with the money? And see, because there's a lot of articles about people saying that winning the lottery was the worst thing that happened to them, how their lives were ruined and all this kind of shit. And I'm thinking, these motherfuckers don't know what to do with money. Please. I know what I would do. Yeah, it was a white dress. I was toe up. And my mother had made me that dress too. It was ruined. Luckily, she still had some material. She made me another one that, just like it. We still had the pattern and everything. But, I was just, oh, honey, I just knew I was cute. You couldn't tell me nothing. Nothing. I think these questions are deep, but we're at an age now, most of you anyway, where we're not trying to waste time on frivolities. We're trying to dig into a man's soul. We're trying to figure out, who is this dude? And how can we connect? Is there any possibility for something to jump off here that could be meaningful and wonderful? Or is this just going to be a situation where I'm wasting all my time with somebody I'm going to be with for 6 months or an under year? No, wait. See, you distracted me, Miss Piston. She's like, she's got red underwear was showing. Oh my God, how embarrassing. At least you didn't have on a thong, though. That would have really been embarrassing. Butt cheeks, all out on display. That would have been horrible. Oh my. Yeah, that would be a hot mess. So, those are some, ideas or questions that I think would help in this whole process. Um, like I said, you know, the main goal here is to figure out how you guys are messing up and which one of these three phases you're making the greatest amount of mistakes. For most of you, I think it's the infatuation phase, the what you're supposed to be doing, the screen, the resume phase, the vetting, the early vetting phase. I think you let too many men in that you already know aren't the kind of dude that you want to be with, but you just be tired of being single, and so you go for it. And you end up in a hot mess situation with a knucklehead. And then you say you don't understand how it happened. Well, I'm telling you how it happened. You didn't pay attention to what you were supposed to be doing, and you didn't eliminate somebody who was a knucklehead when you were supposed to be eliminating him. You stayed too long. You let him get away with too much shit, and you talk a bunch of bullshit to him, but you don't actually do nothing. Everything that you say is not backed up. So he knows he can get away with everything because you more focused on keeping him around than you are on keeping the right man around. You just want a man, and so he treats you any old kind of way with mucho disrespect. And you know, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised if something's wrong with what you call it, um, the use the super chat or whatever. Um, But just catch me on Tuesday if you get time. We'll be here on Tuesday again. We're gonna be doing the advice show on Tuesday. But this is I'm looking to see, does anybody have any questions before I close out the show? I knew it was gonna take about 2 hours, and that has been 2 hours. Any questions? Hmm. Okay, I guess everybody got the information they need. I noticed every live stream the numbers grow more than they were before. I think this was the most I've had so far in concurrently. But I do want to thank everybody for coming. You guys did a great job of sharing the link and getting the word out to other people. I hope that this answers the majority of your questions on how to vet men. If not, then feel free to um, write a comment down below and leave it for me, or send your question to survivingdating@gmail.com, and I'll be sure to respond to it as soon as possible. Please join me on Tuesday for the advice show. What the fuck, Tuesday? We'll be here for that. If you want to send in your question, again, look at the top of the show page and click the Get Advice button and send it in. This is Deborah Cooper from survivingdating.com. Thanks for coming and visiting with me today, you guys. I'll see you on Tuesday.